Hello and welcome back to another episode of 20something podcast. My name is Helena.
My name is Lachie.
And today we're talking about dating apps.
Woo!
Yes. Lachie, what is your experience? Let's hear it straight off the bat.
I love how it's like it's an interrogation.
Straight to
It's a straight off the bat, straight to me. Of course, it had to be.
Last 4 years.
Last 4 years. Good question, right? Because last 4 years has been chaotic in terms of, well, not chaotic. I wouldn't say that in terms of my dating life, but dating apps for me is something that I've recently been getting into.
Okay.
And I mean, we can talk about it a bit more later in terms of like sort of their rise in terms of in the prominence in terms of in society and among young people. But it's something that the first time I got on a dating app was maybe 12 months ago.
What?
That was probably the first time.
First time.
That was probably the first time. I think so. Yeah.
So were you not interested in dating beforehand, or were you just not interested in dating in that way?
My experience with dating before that we were talking about this before, and it's interesting. The people that I like before that, like the people I'd been with, were people that I knew through like friend groups and through school. I'm lucky enough to have like a really good sort of like friend group that I've sort of carried through with from school. Not that it's only been that.
Yeah, I was just
specific
thinking
group.
about like the 4 girls in the group you've dated.
No, not at all. But yeah, it's been like people's mutual friends, and obviously like one of the great things that people talk about when it comes to dating apps is being able to connect with people that you sort of don't have any sort of like
just like fresh out in the wilderness. You just pick them up.
It's something that sort of just came along recently for me, and it's not something that I've really gotten into. Like, I'm not actively on it, and you hear that a lot, like the people who like delete it every couple of weeks, and I think everyone does that. Everyone just goes through those phases, and I can understand it. But yeah, that's my experience so far. What about you?
So the last 3, I have barely like had many relationships like all together, but the last 3 guys that I've seen have been from dating apps. So there was 2, I guess, semi-serious relationships out of that, and then just a guy that was just like a couple dates and it didn't go anywhere. So yeah, my main, I think, aside from high school, 6 years on, all my relations with guys that have been minimal anyway have been through dating apps, which is so weird. It's such a funny contrast between you and I, because I kind of like, I look at this whole experience of dating someone within a friend circle or someone that you meet at work or someone that you have mutual friends with as so exciting. But then, of course, it's so dangerous because if things go wrong, there are other people that are kind of invested in that and they might like take sides or...
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I think that's such a cool way to meet people, because having experience with dating apps, I am the sort of person that will get on a dating app for like a week and then be like, stuff this, I can't do this again, and then get off for like 6 months and then try it again when I get bored. And yeah, mine's definitely not a consistent like relationship with these dating app things, because I get like, it's so annoying when you get invested in someone and then something happens and it's just like, ugh. I just find there's so many awkward parts of having a dating app. And we're going to touch on those topics. We have listed them. So one idea is the whole swipe culture. And it's like also like ghosting is a thing, and we're all guilty of it. Because the investment is so low when you meet someone online, you kind of don't feel as, I guess, you don't feel like you need to say sorry or that you're not interested. You kind of just leave it, let it be, and just like don't tend to it.
Yeah.
And there's so much involved with that, because on dating apps, there's so many people you can match with and you say hello, and you can have these conversations, and then it all becomes the same, and there's just not that much interest because there's so many options available. And I find that sometimes, a lot of the time, having too many options as humans is so overwhelming, and then it's also like we never settle for one thing. Yeah. So I find that the whole thing sometimes is too much, because I start having all these conversations and then they're just like, if they're not going anywhere, and I'm guilty of it too, I stop talking to that person, and there's just, I feel like it's rare to get like a substantially good conversation that's just not like the same structured conversation that you'd have on a dating app, because there's like a flow to like, what do you do? where do you live?
Yeah, it's a procedure to it. Almost.
And it just becomes like I actually look for like a quirky element in someone that's a little bit weird, that like weird in the sense that mixes the conversation up, because it's just like such a I guess structured interaction now.
It becomes robotic almost. And even just the simple, like again, going back to swipe culture, it's a simple yes or no. And that's the thing that has always interested me in terms of like, I mean, the superficiality of it has almost put me off at times. And I think for a lot of people that it maybe is a problem with it. Not that I'm against dating apps at all, but just the simple swiping of yes or no on someone. Like it's very, making that decision there and there, like a split second. And I've got friends that will just like go like they're so, they've got the practice of it now, that they can do it so quickly. It's so funny.
Yeah, that like with what you were saying before about how you've met people, like people that you've dated have been through friends. Yeah. So I find that whole thing so exciting of meeting someone through something else.
Oh, yeah.
I find because it's kind of like it's an organized interaction when you meet someone on a dating app. And you both know what you're seeing each other. Yeah, it's so intentional. You both know what your intentions are for messaging each other. And it's kind of like you're both scoping each other out in a way. And I think it's so exciting to meet someone and just like not know what to expect, and little things hint to things and you kind of think, oh, what did that mean? And like it building organically. But then, yeah.
There's an excitement
I think that's
to that.
exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. There's an excitement to that. And that is cool. And it does help as well knowing that they're there for the same reason as well.
Sorry, you're talking about dating apps?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I was talking about like I like the excitement around meeting someone in real life.
Oh, yeah,
and then not knowing whether they're keen, and like that thing happening organically rather than specifically meeting up to date.
Yeah, which has been sort of what...
And it's nice to have like a sort of friendship and hang out first without either of you knowing yet what it is, and then it moving naturally into something.
Yeah. And just really organically, and that's when you can sort of with dating apps. There's almost like you can almost put on a front, not be deceiving at all, but you paint yourself in a pretty light. Yeah, we were saying before, like you only put your best photos on your profile for your dating apps to make yourself look like the absolute peak. You're in peak performance, and it's and everything, which is fair enough. I mean, you wouldn't do anything less than that. Like, you want to make yourself look good anyway. As if you would, I guess it's the same thing if you're going out to a bar, like a social event, you would make yourself look good anyway. But yes, the excitement, that's something, going back to what I was saying before, how I'm not necessarily as experienced when it comes to dating apps. That has been more my game in terms of that's what excites me more in terms of meeting people naturally and organically, and that's exciting and it's good as well. Like when for example, like I think of like music and concerts, and that's where I've met a lot of friends, through music and stuff like that. And that's good there because like if you meet someone at a concert, it's like you've already got something in common. Like you're there to see the same act, or you just enjoy music simply. So yeah.
Yeah, it's almost weird for people from other generations to see the way that we interact now. Like even it's talking to family members, they're like, why don't you just go down to your local? And I'm like, it doesn't work like that. It does not work like that. And people don't approach. I feel like there's a different, just like you would hear, my grandma's told me stories about like there would be a local dance on and you would go somewhere and someone would approach you.
I love
and
that.
I know. That just excites me so much. This idea of like locking eyes with someone and they approach you. And I've been on so many different, like I've had so many different encounters with friends, hearing them say, oh, like I have matched with that guy on Tinder, like being out in public and they've matched with someone and they remember, like they both know that they've seen each other on the app, yet they don't confront each other until they're back on the app like later that night. And I'm like, mate, this is the optimal time to just go up and say something. And it's like this safety guard, like this safety net of the dating app to like, oh, I can handle rejection better behind a screen, like rather than face to face. And of course we don't blame people, but it's kind of like, oh, I don't want this new age generation to be like so fragile that we can't just like, hey, like I know you from the dating app, like aren't you Michael? But then there's some people that are douchebags that might be like, even like ghost you in person, be like, no, like that afraid to just make that interaction in real life.
Do you think there's a problem? Do you think there's a problem maybe that dating apps are sort of have created, not intentionally, but in terms of that issue, in terms of the fact that with dating apps, it becomes a screen to protect yourself. And you know, when it comes to if you're out at a bar and, you know, you see a pretty girl and you want to talk to her or whatever, like maybe 20 years ago you would have done that because that's what was
you had no other choice. You either see her that night and you never see her again. Which is so special. I love that idea.
There's such a magic in that. Do you think dating apps have sort of killed that magic a little bit? And that, not to talk them down or anything. I think they really do have their value, and it's a great way to connect with and meet people. But it's almost created like I don't want to go as far as saying it's a social anxiety now, but it's almost like, oh, I don't need to talk to her. It's like I need to check out her Instagram beforehand or something. It's almost like there's like a screening process. It has to be performed.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I do agree.
Do you think it's negatively impacted the way?
I think whether we like it or not, it has. And it's not like the dating apps were intending on doing that. Like people that designed dating apps were just moving along with the times. Like as we all are. I think there's so many benefits, but one big detriment is that lack of just like taking the initiative to just like break the ice and meet someone.
Just that first sort of like real time, like real life
it's like we think about it more than what we would back then. It's like, geez, that's a beautiful girl, that's a beautiful guy, whoever it is. I'm going to approach them, embrace this moment because God knows I might not see them ever again. Yeah,
and like with that, there's like a sense of like fate and destiny when you meet someone like that. Like when you're on a dating app, you see someone you like, you start chatting and you say, okay, well, let's meet up here whatever time, and that's your first date. And like it's been organized and you're both there and it's like, yep, we're both here because we saw each other on a dating app and we meet up. As opposed to 20 years ago when you saw, like the person that you go on to marry might be someone you just happen to be at a bar at the same time with. And it's like, whoa, it's like they're so contrasted. They're so different, right? Wow.
Yeah. There's so many situations where I think, like, I don't know if it's me just being a natural romantic, but there's so many situations where I think there's so many opportunities for these encounters to happen, yet they don't happen anymore. Like, just from generally understanding like my friends in my circle's experiences, my own experiences, like sitting next to a cute person on a plane, or like there's so many encounters that we take for granted that we could make a whole opportunity of. And I've like, for example, me just generally, I like to talk to random people all the time. And I think it's so like, there's so much you can gain, like, aside from just dating apps and relationships, there's so much you can gain from opening up to someone just in an encounter. We're all human beings. There's so much to learn. Everyone has a story. And I think whether you're looking to date someone or you're just talking to the old man at the bus stop, there is so much there that we can learn. Maybe they're going to teach you a lesson that you really needed to know that day. There's just, can't emphasize that enough.
Definitely.
But it's so easy to ignore that and think, oh, I can gain wisdom from like a YouTube video, or I can find a cute person on it. Like, it's just, we can't. Part of being a human is connecting with new people, and we can't be too organized about that, how that happens.
That's the thing as well, especially when it comes to, I mean, there's so many things in life that you can structure out and you can plan out. You can plan your career and going to university, getting a job, whatever. So you can't plan love.
Yeah.
You can't schedule. You can't schedule love. You can't say, I'm going to get married. 26. I'm going to meet someone. We're going to get married. Like it doesn't. Like I don't know. Like it doesn't really work like that. At least in our society. It's like the one thing that really has to happen spontaneously. And obviously dating apps can sort of, the good thing about dating apps, the positive thing for dating apps is that, it funnels sort of everyone with the common sort of interest or common, thing into the sort of the same place and be like, okay, let's get it started.
Yep.
You know, and I mean, I like the Tinder is a good name for a dating app. You know, to
I've
get
never
the
thought
spark.
of the name.
To get the sparks going, to get
Okay,
Tinder,
cool.
because
That
there's like
explains the
Tinder in
flame
terms
logo.
of like in terms of like fire. Like Tinder is like, I think it's like the stuff in the wood. I don't know, the fire. Tinder, yeah, I don't know. But Man versus Wild taught me that. Bear Grylls. Anyway, but. Yeah, you got distracted there for a second. But yeah, everyone being there in the same location, but I think it's important to hold your ideals strong and keep that. You can still keep that magic there, I guess, even if you're just meeting through a dating app, as long as you. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah.
I think it's bound to happen if it's meant to happen.
Yeah,
but like just relying on a dating app for that to happen is like shutting down so many other opportunities that are like right in front of you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And like I've definitely been in scenarios where if I see someone cute, I like second think like, should I say something? Is that what people do anymore? Like if I approach that person, do they think I'm purely interested in dating them? Like, yeah. But of course it's just a common thought process. But of course we feel more safeguarded by the fact that we can use other means that are more protected to find someone.
And again, it's not just dating apps; it's just everything now. Like our interactions, we just talk online now.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think of anyone, pretty much majority of our connection, unless you live with them, is online. And that's just the way it is, I guess, in society. So I guess it's it's wrong to say it's just dating apps that is sort of changing the culture of communication. It's just all social media, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, actually, that goes to a point that I was sort of thinking of before in terms of that dating apps have become a social media platform.
Yeah, they have.
It's like you download Facebook, you have Facebook, Instagram, and Tinder, and it's almost like a default now. And I mean, we were looking at the stats before, like it was SurveyMonkey who did. They interviewed 4,000 people, just like young, multiple age groups, but 18 to 24 people aged 18 to 24, 75% of them, like majority of them were on Tinder. Like were on Tinder. And then this, I think it was a lower percentage, 31% were on Bumble as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Bumble's, I mean, we can even dive into like the actual specifics of dating apps.
Yeah.
Because I like Bumble because Bumble's interesting because Bumble, the girl, if you don't know, the girl has to talk first.
Yep.
Which is
why do you like that?
Takes the pressure off me. No. I just find it like, I think guys can naturally be, I don't know if you want to go into your experience with this, but guys can naturally be pretty aggressive and forward. I don't know if girls are. I don't know. Am I making an assumption here?
I understand that. I don't know, aggressive, but I know what you mean. Like, can be more.
Yeah.
I guess dominantly pushy.
Yeah, can be pushy. Whereas I feel like girls are a bit more, women are a bit more sort of like
it's just like the traditional sort of thoughtful. Wow, that's nice.
Yeah, well, they're very logical thinking.
Yeah, it's like traditional that the man makes the first move.
Yeah, and again,
it's
that's
kind of taking like.
So it's sort of it's flipping the traditional sort of norm of the man making the first move, and yeah, it's interesting.
So you like that on that dating app?
I just like it being something different, and it's interesting. Like I've used both, and there's been times where I've made approaches on Tinder, and like sometimes it's worked out, sometimes not so much, and then on Bumble, it's interesting just spending time on Bumble because I'm just seeing, do more girls like approach me than compared to Tinder, where it's sort of just an even playing field. You know, I don't know. I just find it interesting, just like it's something different, just to shake it up.
Yeah.
For you, what do you feel like you? Or you're not really fast?
I don't know. I like when guys make the first move, which is quite. I guess maybe could be controversial, but I feel. Like, obviously, there's more chances of, I guess, rejection if you're the one making the first move. So the girl's more like putting themselves forward first for no answer, which is so funny because that's just, it's inevitably the nature of the dating apps is that regardless of who puts their foot forward first, when there's so many options, there's going to be like you both matched, but maybe someone simultaneously is connecting with someone else more. So then they just don't answer you. But, I don't know if I have a preference. I think I do like the concept behind Bumble, but I think Hinge has been the dating app that I've found the most useful.
I've never used Hinge. Is there
Okay.
is there anything behind Hinge?
So there's more investment in creating a profile. There's captions that you have to answer. There's like a category bar sort of thing that you can say if you've done drugs, if you've smoked weed, if you're looking for children. I think if you want to have children, I think there's a you put your height, your spiritual or religious beliefs.
It's much more detailed than
it's more. Yeah. So I guess there's less time. I guess not wasted, but you spend less time asking these questions in the conversation if you already know it's there. And so there's more effort that you have to put into your profile, which inevitably attracts people that want more meaningful encounters because they're putting more time into the way they're presented.
Yeah, I like that because it sort of helps. You never want to stereotype anyone, of course, but like it helps. I mean, going back to before, I was sort of saying about we were talking about swipe culture and just like judging people like purely on like one photo or just their looks and everything. I guess it sort of helps. You can sort of learn a bit more about them and their personality and their background and their values and that those are the key parts of like getting to know someone in those early stages. So that's good. I like that.
Yeah. No, it's funny also. So we've got Tinder, Bumble, Hinge. And then there's more, like we've just discovered there's also more targeted apps. So we found out about the Christian dating app.
Christian ones,
it's called Crosspaths.
Crosspaths.
There's a Jewish dating app, J-Swipe.
Was it J-Swipe, yeah.
And it's so interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's cool because it's another it's similar to Hinge in the way that it's more filtered.
Yeah.
So if you know that you want to marry within a certain religion, a belief system, you can like intentionally go to an app where that's already sorted for you.
It makes sense.
So it's all filtered for you. Yeah. You don't have to use any time trying to hope that someone else is Christian.
Exactly. Yeah.
So there's already going to be a lot of underlying, I guess, core values shared between you and the other person. And then it's also funny, we were talking about at what level do we move from like these 20s sort of Bumble, Hinge, OkCupid apps to I've never tried OkCupid, but I know that that's quite prominent.
Right.
To like more of these eHarmony, RSVP, Plenty of Fish.
Yeah.
Because I was watching an ad. I'm definitely, as I mentioned in episode 5 about dating, I'm not like that open for dating will happen when it happens, but it's funny in my family, they're kind of like, Lena, when's it going to happen? You've barely dated in your 20s. And it wasn't long ago that we're just sitting on the couch and an eHarmony ad came up and Dad's like, Lena, you should get onto that. I was like, are you kidding me? I have not reached the stage where I'm signing up for friggin' eHarmony. Oh my God.
So good.
And it's funny, in my head, I've just thought of eHarmony as like a 40-year-old, like you've come out of a relationship with like a long-term marriage or something and you found eHarmony. Yeah. And I'm thinking, but they have it, like you can get on it from 18 years old. So like, at what level do we shift from like these sort of social media dating apps to like these more desktop, like people have solid descriptions. One of my uncles, I remember when he was getting on RSVP, seeing the full description boxes that you answer, like people were very much, it's sort of like filling out a job application, the way it's much more detailed than Hinge is. And there's also like, you can pay like a premium membership thing where you can, I don't know exactly how it works, but obviously the young dating apps that we're used to, you can pay for memberships or whatever you call subscription, would you call it? Whatever, you're paying for the service in order to get more premium benefits, like see who likes you or have more potential to send a rose or send a super like or whatever. But with RSVP, I don't know exactly what happens when you pay, but it's more of an energy investment. I think all transactions that involve money are more of an how do I explain that? Like when you're investing your money, you're really investing like intentionally into something. And when you're investing into RSVP or eHarmony, I think the people that are in that age range are more serious about what they want. Yeah. Just by default, by the fact of their age, they like we see people in their 30s, 40s wanting to be more intentional about their relationships, especially if you're going to be paying a premium price.
Yeah, it's a completely different context.
Yeah.
Dating in, 30s and 40s compared to 20s. And I think it's fair to say that, right? Like it's just priorities are different. And I guess for young people, there's, it's, I think you can be quite excited to find love and to find relationships. And I think later on in life, I mean, not that we can speak from experience, we're obviously still at the bottom of the age brackets, but there's different priorities there, and generally speaking, people looking for more long-term relationships. And I think when it comes to sort of transitioning, graduating from like the Tinders and the Bumbles to like the eHarmonies.
It's so funny that
it is funny, how it's just become a thing. I mean, just like subconsciously, just those apps, I feel like the eHarmony RSVP, I feel like they like to sort of target the older people anyway, like more like sort of like people looking for like serious relationships.
But we still look for serious relationships on these apps.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's just different target demographic.
Yeah, but I think it's just all about having self-awareness and like understanding, like, if you, like you're saying, like there's more transactions involved in like eHarmony and stuff like that. Whether you want to, and it seems like a more like a rigorous process.
I reckon we should put a poll or something on Instagram.
Yeah.
Let's trying to scope if any people at our age, because these dating apps are open to adults from 18 plus, if anyone has tried out eHarmony RSVP and what their experience was.
Like under the age, or like
under the age of 30, like in their 20s.
Yeah, in their 20s.
Because it's so funny that we can use that, but we just have this connotation, which is rightly so, that it's not for our age range.
Yeah.